Alright guys, today we're going to be covering the page layout tab inside of Microsoft Word. And what it really is what you want your page or paper to look like. So we're going to start over here in page setup. And the first thing we're going to cover is margins. What are margins? If you look at the ruler at the top of your paper here, you can see this gray section. That represents the margin. You can see it over here, and if you want to see the side, you can see it over here. And you can scroll down, and you can see it for each and every page as long as you have the ruler available for you to see. And so if you click on this, anytime you type a paper for English or any other class, whether in high school, college, and so on and so forth, most of it will always be 1-inch margins all the way around. There will be some times, for instance, when I make quizzes and things like that, I have a setting on my computer at school where it is a 1/2 inch on the top, 1/2 inch on the bottom, and 7/10 of an inch on the left and right. So you have the ability to set it up however you like. You can even select custom margins, and it'll bring up this little menu, and it has some other things here that you can see. These are actually found over here in the rest of the page setup. But again, you can adjust your margins to whichever way you would like. Make them big or small. Click OK, and it will make it for you. Orientation is pretty much how you want the paper. When you take a picture with your cell phone and it's straight up and down, you're just holding it in your hand, that is called portrait. Whereas opposed landscape is the width is the largest part. And so I'm going to zoom out here so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so we got 2 sheets of paper we can see, and if I'm going to switch it to landscape, there you go. You can see it made it a little bit wider. Move the picture over here, and now it has made everything. It has made the long part the width as opposed to the height. So I'm going to go ahead and switch those back. Zoom back in. As for size, every time you type a paper for high school, college, middle school, whatever it is, you will always be using 8.5 by 11. The only time you need to move or to change anything here is if you have an envelope, you have a note card, or some other form that you may need to use, but most always you'll be using this. Columns is another neat option here that we have. If I was just to click on columns and select 2, it will take everything inside of this paper and make it into 2 columns. And that's pretty neat, but that's not what we want all the time. So I'm going to zoom out here, and we're going to find just a section of text and walk through it just a little bit here, what it looks like. Most of the time, what I do if I'm going to use columns, I will select the paragraph or paragraphs. And then once you select the columns option, you can do a couple things here. Now you can just make it 2, but you have a couple of different other options here too. So you can make it so the left side is small and the right side's big, or vice versa. But I am a bigger fan of opening actually the entire column window. And in doing that, my thing I like to do is I like to put the line in between it. And what that helps me do, that helps me distinguish what side, where's that separating line at for the columns. Makes it a little bit easier for me, in my mind, to do that. And if I didn't, let's just say I decided, I don't want columns anymore, I can just select one, and that is that. We've talked about page breaks. If you wanted to line the numbers in your paper, you can see how many lines you have. It's not necessary, but you can restart at each page, so on and so forth. Indent, we talked about this. You can find this section. Actually, you can find both of these over here in the Home tab, where we talked about for spacing. You can find the line spacing option here. You can also find the indent option, increase and decrease option there. And then we have this stuff here which was found when the picture. Now notice how you can't really select this. As soon as I click on this picture, you can see that I can select any of these again, which ultimately you can find in the format or the conditional tab that pops up when you select the picture. So that is really it for the page layout. It's not real extensive, but it does have guidelines that you need to know in order to be successful in presenting your paper correctly for classes.